All right, folks, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Stoicism. We're kicking off a brand new series that's going to take you on a journey towards a more fulfilling, resilient, and downright awesome life. This series is like a Stoic boot camp, a 12-part masterclass in mastering your mind, emotions, and actions. We're going to tackle everything from perception and purpose to virtue and the acceptance of fate. It's like a mental and emotional upgrade, giving you the tools to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Today, we're starting with Part 1, the discipline of perception, clarity. It's all about seeing the world clearly, cutting through the noise, and focusing on what truly matters. We'll explore 10 key lessons, packed with Stoic wisdom and practical tips you can apply to your everyday life. Think of it like cleaning the windshield of your mind, wiping away the smudges of negativity, doubt, and distraction, so you can see the road ahead with crystal clear vision. We'll talk about everything from focusing on what you can control to understanding the 7 functions of your mind and how to break free from those pesky addictions that hold you back. So, if you're ready to level up your mental game, gain clarity, and start living a more intentional and fulfilling life, then buckle up and let's get this Stoic party started. Lesson 1. The Stoics' Superpower: Mastering the Art of Control. All right, let's kick off this Stoic journey with a concept that's as practical as it is profound. Focus on what you can control. Now, this might sound like common sense, but trust me, it's a game changer when it comes to navigating life's ups and downs with a sense of calm and purpose. The Stoics, those wise philosophers from ancient Greece and Rome, were all about mastering their minds and emotions, and they knew that the key to inner peace was recognizing the difference between what's within their power and what's not. Epictetus, one of the Stoic heavyweights, put it this way: "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control." In other words, there's a whole lot of stuff in this world that we simply can't control. The weather, traffic, other people's opinions, the stock market, you name it. Trying to control these externals is like trying to herd cats. It's frustrating, exhausting, and ultimately futile. But here's the empowering part. There's also a whole lot of stuff that is within our control. Our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, our responses to the world around us. And by focusing our energy and attention on these internal factors, we can create a sense of agency, resilience, and even joy, regardless of what's happening outside. The Stoic dichotomy of control. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it's like a superpower for navigating life's challenges. It's about recognizing that while we can't control the cards we're dealt, we can control how we play them. Think about it this way. You're stuck in traffic. You can't control the traffic jam, but you can control how you respond to it. You can get angry, frustrated, and stressed, which will only make the situation worse. Or you can accept the reality of the situation, take a few deep breaths, and use the time to listen to a podcast, catch up on phone calls, or simply enjoy a moment of quiet reflection. Real-life applications. This Stoic principle applies to all areas of life. Let's say you're dealing with a difficult coworker. You can't control their behavior, but you can control your own reactions. You can choose to engage in conflict, which will likely escalate the situation. Or you can choose to maintain your composure, set boundaries, and focus on doing your own job to the best of your ability. Or maybe you're facing a setback in your personal life, like a breakup or a job loss. You can't control what happened, but you can control how you move forward. You can wallow in self-pity and despair, or you can choose to see this as an opportunity for growth and learning and take proactive steps to create a better future for yourself. The Stoic advantage. By focusing on what you can control, you're not only reducing stress and anxiety, but you're also empowering yourself to create positive change in your life. You're shifting your focus from external circumstances to internal strength and resilience. And that's a recipe for a more fulfilling and joyful life, regardless of what the world throws your way. As the contemporary Stoic philosopher William B. Irvine puts it, the goal of Stoicism is to live a happy life, and one way to do this is to avoid becoming overly dependent on things that are outside our control. So today, let's make a commitment to focus on what we can control. Let's let go of the things we can't change and channel our energy into the areas where we can make a real difference. It's not always easy, but it's the Stoic path to a more peaceful, empowered, and fulfilling life. Lesson 2. The liberating power of knowledge. Education as the key to Stoic freedom. All right, folks, let's dive into the second pillar of Stoic clarity, the idea that education is freedom. Now, before you start picturing dusty textbooks and boring lectures, let's reframe this concept a bit. We're not just talking about formal education here, although that's certainly valuable. We're talking about a lifelong pursuit of knowledge, a commitment to expanding your mind and understanding the world around you. The Stoics believed that knowledge is power, and that the more you learn, the freer you become. It's like upgrading your mental operating system, giving you more tools and resources to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born a slave and rose to become a renowned teacher, put it this way: "What is the fruit of these teachings? Only the most beautiful and proper harvest of the truly educated, tranquility, fearlessness, and freedom." We should not trust the masses who say only the free can be educated, but rather the lovers of wisdom who say that only the educated are free. In other words, education isn't just a privilege for the elite or the leisurely. It's a necessity for anyone who wants to live a truly free and fulfilling life. It's about breaking free from the chains of ignorance, prejudice, and fear, and stepping into a world of possibilities. Knowledge as a fortress. Imagine your mind as a fortress. The more knowledge you acquire, the stronger and more resilient that fortress becomes. You're building walls of understanding, equipping yourself with the tools to defend against the attacks of negativity, doubt, and confusion. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of panicking or feeling overwhelmed, you can draw upon your knowledge and experience to find solutions. You can analyze the situation objectively, weigh your options, and make informed choices that align with your values and goals. Education in the modern world. In today's world, knowledge is more accessible than ever before. We have books, articles, podcasts, online courses, and a wealth of information at our fingertips. But it's not just about consuming information. It's about actively engaging with it, questioning it, and applying it to your own life. Think about it. Have you ever read a book that completely changed your perspective on the world? Or listened to a podcast that sparked a new passion or interest? Or had a conversation with someone who challenged your assumptions and opened your mind to new possibilities? That's the power of education in action. The Stoic scholar. The Stoics were voracious learners, constantly seeking out new knowledge and insights. They read widely, debated fiercely, and sought out mentors and role models who could guide them on their path to wisdom. But they didn't just accumulate knowledge for its own sake. They applied it to their daily lives, using it to make better decisions, cultivate virtue, and live in accordance with nature. They understood that education wasn't just about intellectual growth, it was about personal transformation. Cultivating a curious mind. So how can you embrace the Stoic ideal of lifelong learning and make education a central part of your life? Here are a few tips. Read widely. Explore different genres, subjects, and perspectives. Don't just stick to your comfort zone. Challenge yourself to read books that expand your horizons and challenge your assumptions. Seek out mentors. Find people who are further along the path than you, who can offer guidance, support, and inspiration. This could be a teacher, a coach, a friend, or even a historical figure whose writings resonate with you. Engage in meaningful conversations. Talk to people who have different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Listen actively, ask questions, and be open to learning from others. Reflect on your experiences. Take time each day to reflect on your experiences, both the good and the bad. What lessons can you learn from your successes and failures? How can you apply those lessons to future situations? Embrace curiosity. Cultivate a sense of curiosity and wonder about the world around you. Ask questions, seek out answers, and never stop learning. The bottom line. Education is not just about accumulating facts or earning degrees. It's about expanding your mind, cultivating wisdom, and empowering yourself to live a more fulfilling and purposeful life. As the Stoics understood, knowledge is the key to freedom. Freedom from ignorance, fear, and the limitations of a narrow perspective. So, embrace the journey of lifelong learning and watch as your world expands and your possibilities become limitless. Lesson 3. The art of the strategic no. Declutter your life and reclaim your focus. All right, folks, let's talk about a skill that's as essential as it is underrated, the art of saying no. Now, I know in a world that constantly bombards us with requests, invitations, and obligations, it can feel like saying yes is the only way to keep up, to be liked, to be successful. But here's the Stoic truth bomb. Saying yes to everything is a one-way ticket to burnout, overwhelm, and a life that's out of your control. It's like trying to juggle too many balls. Eventually, you're going to drop them all. The Stoics were masters of prioritization, understanding that our time and energy are precious resources. They knew that in order to live a truly fulfilling life, we need to be selective about how we spend those resources. As Seneca put it, how many have laid waste to your life when you weren't aware of what you were losing? How much was wasted in pointless grief, foolish joy, greedy desire, and social amusements? How little of your own was left to you? You will realize you are dying before your time. In other words, if you're not careful, the unimportant things will creep in and consume your life, leaving you with little time or energy for what truly matters. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Each one might seem insignificant on its own, but together they can bleed you dry. The tyranny of the trivial. Think about your typical day. How much of your time is spent on activities that are truly meaningful and fulfilling? And how much is wasted on distractions, obligations you don't really care about, or trying to please people you don't even like. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of modern life, with its endless notifications, emails, social media feeds, and the pressure to be constantly on. But the Stoics would urge us to step back and ask ourselves, is this really important? Is this the best use of my time and energy? If the answer is no, then it's time to unleash the power of the strategic no. The power of no. Saying no is not about being selfish or uncaring. It's about setting boundaries, protecting your time, and prioritizing what truly matters to you. It's about taking back control of your life and creating space for the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Think of it like decluttering your closet. You wouldn't keep clothes that don't fit, that you don't like, or that you never wear, right? So why would you keep commitments, obligations, or relationships that don't serve you, that drain your energy, or that pull you away from your goals? The Stoic no in action. Saying no can be tough, especially if you're a people pleaser or you're worried about hurting someone's feelings. But it gets easier with practice. Here are a few tips. Be direct and honest. Don't beat around the bush or make excuses. Simply state your no clearly and confidently. Offer an alternative. If possible, offer an alternative that works better for you. For example, instead of attending a social event you're not interested in, suggest a different activity or a different time. Don't feel guilty. Remember, you have the right to say no. You're not obligated to please everyone or to do everything that's asked of you. Practice self-compassion. If you do feel guilty or uncomfortable saying no, remind yourself that you're prioritizing your own well-being, and that's a good thing. Modern-day examples. The overcommitted parent. A parent who says yes to every school event, sports practice, and extracurricular activity might end up feeling overwhelmed and burnt out. Learning to say no to some commitments can create more time for family bonding and self-care. The social butterfly. A person who tries to maintain a packed social calendar might end up feeling drained and disconnected from their true self. Saying no to some social events can create space for deeper connections and meaningful pursuits. The workaholic. A person who's always saying yes to more work might end up sacrificing their health, relationships, and overall happiness. Setting boundaries and learning to say no to some work requests can lead to a more balanced and fulfilling life. The Stoic Challenge. The Stoics challenge us to examine our priorities and make conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. So today, let's take a moment to reflect on our commitments and obligations. Are we saying yes to too many things? Are we neglecting our own needs and priorities in the process? If so, it's time to start saying no to the unimportant things and create space for what truly matters. Remember, every no is a yes to something else. It's a yes to your own well-being, your own goals, and your own definition of a fulfilling life. So embrace the power of no and watch as your life transforms into a masterpiece of intentionality and purpose. Lesson 4. The Stoic Trinity: Perception, Action, Will, your roadmap to the good life. All right, folks, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of Stoic practice. Today we're talking about the big three, the three core disciplines that form the backbone of Stoic philosophy: perception, action, and will. Think of these disciplines as the three legs of a stool. Each one is essential for stability and balance. If one leg is weak or wobbly, the whole thing's gonna topple over. Now you might be wondering, what exactly are these disciplines, and how do they work together to create a good life? Let's break it down, Stoic style. Perception, the lens through which you see the world. The first discipline is all about how you perceive the world around you. The Stoics believed that it's not events themselves that cause us suffering, but our judgments about those events. In other words, it's not the traffic jam that makes you angry, it's your belief that the traffic jam is a terrible inconvenience. Epictetus put it this way: it isn't events themselves that disturb people, but only their judgments about them. So the discipline of perception is about training your mind to see things clearly, objectively, and without judgment. It's about recognizing that most things are outside of your control and that your happiness depends on your internal state, not on external circumstances. Think of it like this. You're wearing a pair of sunglasses. If the lenses are tinted red, everything you see will have a reddish hue. But if you swap them for a pair with clear lenses, you'll see the world as it truly is. The discipline of perception is about polishing your mental lenses so you can perceive reality without distortion. Action, aligning your deeds with your values. The second discipline is all about action, what you do in the world. The Stoics believed that virtue is the sole good, and that the purpose of life is to live in accordance with virtue. This means acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance in every situation. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." The discipline of action is about aligning your deeds with your values, making choices that reflect your best self, and contributing to the common good. It's about living a life of purpose and meaning, not just drifting along on autopilot. Imagine you're on a road trip. You have a destination in mind, but you also have the freedom to choose your route. The discipline of action is about choosing the path that's most aligned with your values, even if it's not the easiest or most convenient one. Will, embracing what you can't control. The third discipline is all about your will, your ability to accept what you can't control and to find peace and resilience in the face of adversity. The Stoics recognized that life is full of challenges, setbacks, and even tragedies, but they also believed that we have the power to choose our response to these events. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The discipline of will is about cultivating inner strength, patience, and acceptance. It's about recognizing that some things are simply beyond our control, and that fighting against them only leads to frustration and suffering. It's about finding the calm in the storm, the silver lining in the cloud, and the opportunity for growth in every challenge. Think of it like this. You're caught in a rainstorm. You can't control the rain, but you can control whether you get soaked or seek shelter. The discipline of will is about finding the shelter within yourself, the inner peace that can't be touched by external events. The Stoic Trinity in action. These three disciplines are not isolated practices. They're interconnected and mutually reinforcing. Your perception shapes your actions strengthen your will, and your will influences your perception. It's a virtuous cycle that leads to a life of clarity, purpose, and resilience. Let's look at a modern-day example. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation at work. Your boss is demanding, your deadlines are tight, and you're feeling overwhelmed. Perception. Instead of catastrophizing and thinking, "I'll never get all this done," you can reframe your perception. You can remind yourself that you have the skills and resources to handle the workload and that you've overcome challenges in the past. Action. Instead of procrastinating or complaining, you can take action. You can break down the tasks into smaller, manageable steps, prioritize your work, and focus on one thing at a time. Will. If unexpected obstacles arise, instead of getting frustrated or giving up, you can exercise your will. You can accept the situation, adapt your plans, and find a way to move forward. By applying the Stoic trinity of perception, action, and will, you can navigate even the most challenging situations with grace, wisdom, and a sense of inner calm. You can become the master of your own fate, the architect of your own happiness, and a true beacon of Stoic strength and resilience. Lesson 5. The Compass of Intention, Steering Your Ship with Stoic Purpose. All right, folks, let's talk about a concept that's as crucial to navigating life as a compass is to a sailor: setting clear intentions. Now, this isn't just about making a to-do list or setting New Year's resolutions, although those can be helpful starting points. It's about infusing every action, every decision, with a sense of purpose and direction. The Stoics believed that intentionality is key to living a fulfilling and virtuous life. It's about being deliberate in your choices rather than simply reacting to whatever comes your way. As Seneca put it, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view." It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. In other words, it's not enough to just do things. You need to know why you're doing them. Without a clear sense of purpose, you're like a ship adrift at sea, tossed about by the winds and waves of circumstance. But with clear intentions, you become the captain of your own ship, charting a course towards your desired destination. The fog of aimlessness. Think about those days when you feel scattered and unproductive. You're busy, sure, but you're not really making any progress. You're checking things off your to-do list, but you're not feeling any closer to your goals. That's the fog of aimlessness, and it can be incredibly frustrating and demotivating. The Stoics would argue that this fog is often caused by a lack of clear intentions. When you're not sure what you're trying to achieve, it's easy to get sidetracked, to waste time on trivial pursuits, or to fall prey to the distractions of the modern world. It's like wandering through a forest without a map. You might enjoy the scenery, but you'll never reach your destination. The clarity of purpose. Setting clear intentions is like shining a spotlight on your path, illuminating the way forward and helping you stay focused on what truly matters. It's about aligning your actions with your values and goals, so that every step you take is a step in the right direction. This doesn't mean you have to have every detail of your life planned out in advance. It's more about having a general sense of direction, a guiding principle that informs your decisions and actions. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our plans miscarry because they have no aim. When a man does not know what harbor he is making for, no wind is the right wind." Setting smart intentions. One helpful framework for setting clear intentions is the SMART goals method. Specific, clearly define what you want to achieve. Measurable, establish criteria for measuring your progress. Achievable, set realistic and attainable goals. Relevant, make sure your goals align with your values and overall purpose. Time-bound, set a deadline for achieving your goals. By setting smart intentions, you're not just making wishes, You're creating a roadmap for success. You're giving yourself a clear target to aim for and a way to track your progress along the way. Modern-day examples. The power of intention can be seen in all areas of life. The successful entrepreneur. They have a clear vision for their business, a set of goals they're working towards, and a plan for achieving them. The dedicated athlete. They train with a specific purpose in mind, whether it's winning a championship, breaking a personal record, or simply improving their fitness. The mindful parent. They set intentions for their parenting, focusing on raising kind, compassionate, and responsible children. The Stoic challenge. The Stoics challenge us to live intentionally, to be mindful of our choices, and to make sure that our actions are aligned with our values and goals. As Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." So today, let's take a moment to reflect on our intentions. What are we trying to achieve in our lives? What are our priorities? What kind of person do we want to be? Once we have clarity on these questions, we can start setting clear intentions and taking deliberate actions that move us closer to our goals. We can break free from the fog of aimlessness and create a life that's filled with purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Remember, the power to shape your destiny lies within you. Set your intentions, chart your course, and sail boldly towards the life you envision. Lesson 6. The Cosmic Perspective. Finding your place in the grand scheme of things. All right, folks, let's take a step back from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and zoom out to the cosmic level. Today, we're exploring the Stoic idea of knowing your place and purpose in the universe. Now, this might sound a bit lofty, even a little intimidating, but trust me, there's a profound sense of peace and clarity that comes from understanding your role in the grand scheme of things. The Stoics believed that the universe is a vast, interconnected web of cause and effect, governed by a divine logos or reason. They saw themselves as integral parts of this cosmic order, each with a unique role to play. As Marcus Aurelius put it, "Everything we do affects everything else. The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it." In other words, you're not just a random speck in a meaningless void. You're a part of something much bigger, something awe-inspiring and beautiful. And by understanding your place in this cosmic dance, you can find a sense of purpose, meaning, and even joy in your everyday life. The zoom-out effect. Think about those moments when you're feeling overwhelmed by your problems, stressed about your to-do list, or anxious about the future. It's easy to get caught up in the minutiae of our own lives and forget that there's a whole universe out there, spinning and evolving, with or without our worries. The Stoics would encourage us to take a step back and zoom out to see our lives from a cosmic perspective. When you contemplate the vastness of space and time, your own problems can start to seem a little less significant. It's not about denying your challenges, but about putting them in perspective. As the contemporary Stoic philosopher Ryan Holiday puts it, the obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition. Finding your cosmic role. Now, this doesn't mean you have to become an astrophysicist or a philosopher to understand your place in the universe. It's more about cultivating a sense of awe and wonder, recognizing your interconnectedness with all of existence, and finding ways to contribute to the greater good. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment, to the beauty and complexity of the world around you. Notice the intricate patterns of nature, the kindness of strangers, the simple joys of everyday life. Connect with something larger than yourself. Whether it's through volunteering, spending time in nature, or engaging in spiritual practices, find ways to connect with something that transcends your individual ego and reminds you of your place in the grand scheme of things. Live in accordance with your values. Identify your core values and make choices that align with them. This will help you feel more connected to your purpose and create a sense of meaning in your life. Serve others. The Stoics believed that we have a duty to contribute to the well-being of others. Find ways to use your talents and skills to make a positive impact on the world around you. Modern-day examples. The environmentalist. They understand the interconnectedness of all living things and work to protect the planet for future generations. The social justice advocate. They fight for equality and fairness, recognizing that every individual deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. The artist or musician. They create works of beauty that inspire and uplift others, contributing to the cultural richness of society. The teacher or mentor. They share their knowledge and wisdom with others, helping them to grow and reach their full potential. The Stoic challenge. The Stoics challenge us to expand our perspective beyond our own individual concerns and to see ourselves as part of a larger, interconnected whole. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." So today, let's take a moment to contemplate our place in the universe. Let's cultivate a sense of awe and wonder, recognize our interconnectedness with all of existence, and find ways to contribute to the greater good. By embracing the cosmic perspective, we can transcend the limitations of our ego, find a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, and live a life that's truly in harmony with the universe. Lesson 7. The Mind's Magnificent Toolkit. 7 functions to flex your mental muscles. All right, folks, let's get a little more cerebral today. We're diving into the fascinating world of the mind, exploring the 7 key functions that Epictetus, the Stoic rock star, laid out for us. Now, before you start picturing dusty psychology textbooks, let's reframe this in a way that's both practical and empowering. Think of your mind as a high-performance machine, equipped with a whole suite of tools and capabilities. But just like any machine, it needs to be properly understood and maintained if you want it to operate at its peak. The Stoics believed that understanding these 7 functions of the mind was crucial for achieving clarity, making wise choices, and living a fulfilling life. So, what are these 7 functions, and how can we put them to work in our daily lives? Let's break it down, Stoic style. 1. Choice, prohairesis. This is the big kahuna, the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It's your ability to make decisions, to choose your path, to exercise your free will. The Stoics believed that this is the one thing that's truly within our control, and it's what separates us from animals and makes us human. For example, you're offered a promotion at work, but it means longer hours and more stress. You have the choice to accept or decline based on your values and priorities. 2. Refusal, aphorme. This is the flip side of choice, the ability to say no, to resist temptation, to turn away from what's harmful or unhelpful. It's about exercising self-control and discipline, even when faced with alluring distractions or instant gratification. For example, you're tempted to binge watch your favorite show instead of going for a run. You exercise refusal by turning off the TV and lacing up your sneakers. 3. Yearning, orexis. This is your desire for what's good. You're striving for improvement and growth. It's the fuel that propels you forward, the spark that ignites your ambition. But the Stoics caution against unhealthy desires, those that are based on external validation or material possessions. For example, you yearn to become a better writer, so you dedicate time each day to practice and hone your craft. 4. Aversion, eklisis. This is your aversion to what's bad, your instinct for self-preservation and avoidance of harm. It's the internal alarm system that warns you of danger and helps you make wise choices. But the Stoics also warn against excessive aversion, which can lead to fear, anxiety, and a life lived in constant defense. For example, you feel aversion towards a toxic relationship, so you choose to distance yourself and protect your well-being. 5. Preparation, paraskew. This is your ability to anticipate and prepare for what may come, both the good and the bad. It's about being proactive, not reactive, and having a plan for dealing with life's inevitable challenges and setbacks. For example, you're going on a camping trip, so you prepare by packing the necessary gear, checking the weather forecast, and learning basic survival skills. 6. Purpose, prothesis. This is your overarching goal or mission in life, the guiding principle that gives your actions meaning and direction. The Stoics believed that having a clear purpose is essential for a fulfilling and virtuous life. For example, your purpose is to help others, so you volunteer your time at a local soup kitchen or donate to a charity you believe in. 7. Assent, synkatathesis. This is your final judgment or acceptance of an impression or belief. It's the moment when you decide whether something is true, good, or worthy of your attention. The Stoics emphasized the importance of giving assent only to what's in accordance with reason and nature. For example, you hear a rumor about a friend, but you withhold assent until you have all the facts and can make an informed judgment. Flexing your mental muscles. Understanding these 7 functions is like having a roadmap for your mind. It helps you navigate your thoughts, emotions, and actions with greater clarity and intentionality. But it's not enough to just know about these functions. You need to actively exercise and strengthen them through practice and self-reflection. Journaling. Reflect on your daily experiences and examine how these 7 functions are at play in your life. Mindfulness meditation. Cultivate present moment awareness and observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Stoic exercises. Engage in practices like negative visualization and premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, to strengthen your will and prepare for challenges. Seek out wise counsel. Learn from mentors, teachers, or therapists who can guide you on your journey of self-discovery and growth. The Stoic advantage. By mastering these 7 functions of the mind, you're not just becoming a better thinker, you're becoming a better human. You're developing the mental and emotional resilience to navigate life's complexities with grace, wisdom, and a sense of inner peace. You're creating a life that's not just about surviving, but about thriving. So, go forth and flex those mental muscles. Embrace the power of choice, the discipline of refusal, the fire of yearning, the wisdom of aversion, the foresight of preparation, the clarity of purpose, and the discernment of assent. With these Stoic tools at your disposal, you'll be well on your way to living a life that's truly fulfilling, meaningful, and free. Lesson 8. The Siren Song of Addiction, Breaking Free from the Chains of Compulsion. All right, folks, let's have a real heart-to-heart about something that affects us all in one way or another: addiction. Now, before you start thinking this is just about substance abuse or hardcore habits, let's widen the lens a bit. The Stoics, those wise folks from ancient times, recognized that addiction can take many forms, and it's not always as obvious as you might think. We're talking about anything that has a grip on you, anything you feel compelled to do or consume, even when it's not in your best interest. It could be a substance like alcohol or drugs, a behavior like gambling or overeating, or even a seemingly harmless habit like constantly checking your phone or scrolling through social media. The Stoics saw addiction as a form of slavery, a loss of control over your own choices and actions. As Epictetus put it, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you're addicted to something, you're not truly free. You're bound by your cravings and compulsions. The sneaky nature of addiction. Addiction is a sneaky beast. It often starts small, with a seemingly harmless indulgence or a way to cope with stress or boredom. But over time, it can grow into a monster, taking over your life and leaving you feeling powerless and trapped. Think about it. Have you ever found yourself reaching for your phone first thing in the morning, even before you've brushed your teeth, or mindlessly scrolling through social media for hours, even though you have a million other things you need to do, or feeling anxious and irritable if you haven't had your caffeine fix? These are all signs that you might be developing an unhealthy attachment, a subtle form of addiction. The Stoic antidote: awareness and self-discipline. So how do you break free from the clutches of addiction and reclaim your freedom? The Stoics offer a two-pronged approach. 1. Awareness. The first step is to become aware of your addictions. This requires honesty and self-reflection. Take a close look at your habits and behaviors. What are the things you feel compelled to do, even when you know they're not good for you? What are the things you can't seem to live without, even for a day? Once you've identified your addictions, you can start to understand their triggers and patterns. What situations or emotions make you more likely to indulge? What are the consequences of your addictive behaviors? By becoming more aware of your addictions, you can start to make more conscious choices about how you respond to them. 2. Self-discipline. The second step is to cultivate self-discipline. This means resisting the urge to indulge in your addictive behaviors, even when it's difficult. It means finding healthier ways to cope with stress and boredom, and it means building new habits that support your well-being. This doesn't mean you have to go cold turkey or deprive yourself completely. It's about finding a balance, setting limits, and gradually reducing your dependence on the addictive behavior. It's about taking back control of your choices and actions, one small step at a time. Modern-day addictions. In today's world, addiction takes many forms. Here are a few examples. Technology addiction. This includes excessive use of smartphones, social media, video games, and other digital devices. It can lead to decreased productivity, social isolation, and even physical health problems. Food addiction. This involves compulsive overeating or binge eating, often triggered by stress, boredom, or emotional distress. It can lead to weight gain, health problems, and a negative body image. Workaholism. This is the addiction to work, often driven by a desire for success, recognition, or financial security. It can lead to burnout, strained relationships, and neglect of personal well-being. Relationship addiction. This involves an unhealthy dependence on another person for validation, self-worth, or a sense of identity. It can lead to codependency, emotional turmoil, and a loss of personal autonomy. The Stoic reminder. Remember, the Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-mastery, not from indulging in every whim or desire. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature." By becoming aware of your addictions and cultivating self-discipline, you can break free from their grip and create a life that's truly your own. You can reclaim your freedom, your power, and your sense of purpose. The bottom line. Addiction is a universal human struggle, but it's not a life sentence. By cultivating awareness and self-discipline, you can overcome your addictions and create a life that's more fulfilling, joyful, and free. Remember, the Stoics weren't about deprivation or self-denial. They were about finding balance, moderation, and living in accordance with nature and reason. So, don't be afraid to enjoy life's pleasures, but don't let them become your master. Take charge of your choices, break free from the chains of compulsion, and create a life that's truly yours. Lesson 9. The Stoics' Compass. Navigating the choppy waters of life. All right, folks, let's revisit one of the core tenets of Stoicism, the one that's like a trusty compass guiding us through life's stormy seas. Understanding what you can and cannot control. Now, this might sound like a simple concept, but it's packed with wisdom that can profoundly impact how we navigate challenges, setbacks, and even our everyday interactions. The Stoics were all about focusing on what's within our power and accepting what's not. They recognized that the world is full of things we can't control: the weather, other people's opinions, the economy, even our own health to some extent. Trying to control these externals is like trying to hold back the tide. It's a recipe for frustration, anxiety, and ultimately, a whole lot of wasted energy. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who knew a thing or two about overcoming adversity, he was born a slave and later exiled, put it this way: "Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions." In other words, there's a clear line in the sand. On one side are the things we can directly influence: our thoughts, our choices, our behaviors. On the other side are the things that are largely outside our grasp: external events, other people's actions, the whims of fate. The Stoics taught us to focus on the former and accept the latter. The serenity of acceptance. Now, this doesn't mean we should become passive or apathetic. It's not about giving up or resigning ourselves to whatever life throws at us. It's about recognizing where our true power lies and focusing our efforts where they can make a real difference. Think of it like this: you're on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean. You can't control the wind or the waves, but you can control the sails and the rudder. You can adjust your course, harness the wind's power, and navigate towards your destination, even in the face of challenging conditions. The Stoics called this the art of acquiescence, the ability to accept what we can't control and focus on what we can. It's not about giving in or surrendering. It's about finding peace and resilience in the midst of chaos. Modern-day examples. Let's bring this Stoic wisdom into the 21st century. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't control the traffic, but you can control your reaction. You can choose to get angry, frustrated and stressed, which will only make the situation worse. Or you can accept the reality, put on some good music, and use the time to catch up on a podcast, or simply enjoy a moment of quiet reflection. Or maybe you're dealing with a difficult family member. You can't control their behavior, but you can control your own. You can choose to engage in conflict, which will likely escalate the situation, or you can choose to set boundaries, communicate assertively, and focus on maintaining your own inner peace. The Stoic advantage. By understanding what you can and cannot control, you're not just reducing stress and anxiety, you're also empowering yourself to live a more intentional and fulfilling life. You're focusing on what truly matters, your character, your values, your actions, and letting go of the things that are ultimately beyond your grasp. As the contemporary Stoic philosopher William B. Irvine puts it, the goal of Stoicism is to live a happy life, and one way to do this is to avoid becoming overly dependent on things that are outside our control. So today, let's make a conscious effort to identify what's within our control and what's not. Let's focus our energy on the things we can influence and let go of the things we can't. It's a simple but powerful practice that can lead to greater clarity, peace and resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Remember, the Stoics weren't just armchair philosophers. They were practical people who applied these principles to their daily lives. And so can you. By mastering the art of control, you can navigate life's complexities with wisdom, grace, and a sense of unshakable inner strength. Lesson 10. The Stoics' Inner Sanctuary, Finding Tranquility Through Wise Judgment. All right, folks, let's wrap up this first part of our Stoic journey with a concept that's at the heart of the whole philosophy. Good judgment leads to tranquility. Now, this might sound like a lofty ideal, something reserved for monks meditating on mountaintops, but the Stoics believed that tranquility, or inner peace, is achievable for anyone willing to cultivate good judgment. The Stoics saw the world as a complex and often chaotic place, filled with challenges, setbacks, and unexpected events. But they also believed that we have the power to navigate this chaos with grace and wisdom, by using our faculty of reason to make sound judgments about the world around us and our place within it. As Marcus Aurelius put it, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In other words, it's not external events that determine our happiness, but our perception of those events. And our perception is shaped by our judgment. The inner turmoil. Think about those times when you're feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. It's often because you're caught up in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, reacting to external events without taking the time to pause, reflect, and make a clear judgment about the situation. Maybe you're worried about a presentation at work, and your mind is racing with all the things that could go wrong. Or perhaps you're upset about a disagreement with a friend, and you're replaying the conversation over and over in your head, fueling your anger and resentment. This inner turmoil is the opposite of tranquility. It's a state of constant agitation, where your mind is like a monkey swinging from one anxious thought to the next, and it's exhausting, both mentally and emotionally. The calm of clear judgment. The Stoics believed that the antidote to this inner turmoil is good judgment. When you're able to see things clearly, objectively, and without the distortion of emotions or biases, you can respond to challenges with calmness and equanimity. You can make decisions that are aligned with your values and goals, and you can find peace even in the midst of chaos. This doesn't mean you'll never experience negative emotions or difficult situations, but it does mean that you'll have the tools to navigate them with greater resilience and wisdom. You'll be able to step back from the immediate emotional reaction and choose a more thoughtful and constructive response. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Cultivating good judgment. So, how do you cultivate this kind of Stoic judgment? It takes practice, self-awareness, and a commitment to lifelong learning. Here are a few tips. Question your assumptions. Don't just accept things at face value. Question your assumptions, challenge your biases, and seek out different perspectives. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment, to your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. This will help you become more aware of your automatic reactions and choose more intentional responses. Study philosophy. Read the works of the Stoics and other philosophers who offer insights into human nature, ethics, and the pursuit of a good life. Seek out wise counsel. Talk to people you respect and admire who can offer guidance and perspective on life's challenges. Reflect on your experiences. Take time each day to reflect on your experiences, both the good and the bad. What lessons can you learn from them? How can you apply those lessons to future situations? The Stoic life. The Stoic life is not about suppressing emotions or becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It's about cultivating wisdom, self-control, and a deep sense of inner peace. It's about living in accordance with nature and reason, and finding joy and fulfillment in the present moment. As Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." So today, let's make a commitment to cultivate good judgment. Let's practice mindfulness, question our assumptions, and seek out wisdom. Let's strive to live in accordance with our values and find tranquility in the midst of life's chaos. Remember, the path to a good life is not always easy, but it's a journey worth taking. And with the Stoic principles as your guide, you can navigate that journey with confidence, clarity, and a deep sense of inner peace. All right, folks, that wraps up our first episode in this epic Stoic journey. We've covered a lot of ground today, from mastering our perception to understanding the power of our choices. Remember, this is just the beginning. We've got 11 more episodes packed with Stoic wisdom and practical tips to help you live your best life. So, take these lessons to heart, put them into practice, and watch as your life transforms. Cultivate clarity, embrace wisdom, and find tranquility in the midst of chaos. Until next time, keep those Stoic vibes high.